Comparative, I'm sure are aware of this. It means you are trying to show similarity or difference between two things. When we say we compare something, it means we are showing difference or similarity between two items, two objects, or two things. And we use to show the difference or similarity with the help of adjectives, because adjectives are words that give more details about a noun. For example, if I say good boy, the word good means I'm talking about the quality of the boy, right? So if I say good boy, it means I'm saying the boy is nice, right? It means the boy is good. So this is a quality of the boy. Now, this is just one boy. If you see, I have written only one boy. But if I want to show the similarity or difference between two boys, then I would say boy one is so boy number one is maybe good, but boy number two cannot be good. If I say boy number two is good, that means they are equal. That means they are same. But I don't think everybody is same. Everybody can't be same. We are all different. We are unique. So boy number one is good. Boy number two is better. So this is actually more than the first one. So what we do when we try to compare, we actually show that somebody is more, somebody is less, or somebody is equal to the other one, right? That's what we do when we try to when we show comparison. And we do that with the help of adjectives, as I've told you just now. Let's move on. So what we're going to learn from today's lesson is what comparative is. I've tried to explain that on, just at the start, but I'll show you the definition. Well, why we need them, how we form comparative, and how we use them in a sentence. These are the four things we're going to learn about comparative adjectives. Now, if you look here, I have 3 apples on the screen, and if you notice carefully, the apples are not the same sizes. They are different in size. We can say the first one is big, and the second one is bigger, and the third one is the biggest of all. So you see 3 different sizes, and I'm showing the difference between them in size by showing you the adjective big, bigger, and biggest. Why that is happening? Now, the first one is big, second one is bigger. That's because I'm comparing 2 items. And if you see the third one, I'm comparing with all the other, that is the biggest. That's the highest degree of, comparison between all these items. That's why it is the biggest. Now, if I compare 2 items, that means if I show you 2 things and I tell you that this is different from the other, or this is the same as the other, then we use comparative degree or comparative adjectives. So the first one is big and second one is the bigger. Alright? But if I show you the difference between 3 items, then I need the superlatives. Or if I show you the difference between more than 3 items, I need the superlative. So superlative is used with more than 3 items or more than 3 objects, but comparative is used with more than one item, means only two items or two objects. Okay. Now, if I show you the next slide, you can see here I have three ladies and they have long hair. But look at the hair size again. They are not the same size. So the first one has long hair and the second one has longer hair. That's because you see it is longer from the first one. That's if I compare with the two, then the second one has longer hair because that is more than the first one. Now, if I look at the third one, this is longest. That's because she actually has hair which is long, and not only long, it's actually longer than all the other ones. So we need a superlative for the third one, or if I compare with everybody else, then I need the superlative for that. But if I compare only the two items, then just longer. First one will be long and the second one will be third one will be the long with the article the and superlative. I'm not telling you the details right now because I have a few more slides from there. So what is comparative? Comparative helps you to measure or judge by estimating similarity or dissimilarity between one thing and another, right? So I told you one thing and another. That means how many things we are comparing? We are comparing with one and another means two. So one, two. When we talk about two things and we talk about their similarity or these differences, we need comparative adjectives. So you can see here again, more explanation is done right here, and that is comparative adjectives are used to compare difference between two objects. For example, larger, smaller, faster, and higher. So when I say larger, it means I have two things in mind. I'm comparing two things. All right. So the second one is larger. Smaller. First one is small and second one is smaller. And just like that, when I say faster and higher, it means the same thing. I'm comparing two objects or two things. All right. So here is an example again. You can see I have apple number 1 and I have apple number 2. Apple number 1, I'm sure you know, is big. But apple number 2 is bigger. So how many things I'm comparing here? Just two. When I compare two objects, the first one is the base form of adjective. Second one is not the base form of adjective. It has something more to it. It has er to it. Okay, I will talk about why we have one more T here later. But remember, when we do the comparison, we need er after the base form of the verb. Adjective, right? After the adjective, here you see big becomes bigger with er, that is the comparative, right? So how do we make comparative? We add er. I'm going to show that to you in the next slide and you will understand more. But here, as you can see, my first apple is big, the second apple is bigger. That's comparison between two items, between two things. So here, I've done that before. So here we are, we have comparatives. What is comparative? I'm going to explain to you a bit more in detail. Now if you see here, comparatives are used to show difference between the two objects. So I'm telling you over and over again, how many things? Two things. So when we say we compare, it means we are talking about two objects, two things, or two items of things. So let's say that I have two cars. You can see I have one car here and I have the other car here. I have a little Toyota and a big Ford, right? Comparative is used to show the difference between the two. So I'm going to compare this one with this one. And one is the Toyota and the other one is the Ford. Which one is big? Ford is big. So we can say the Ford is bigger than Toyota because Ford is big. So that's why the Ford is bigger than Toyota. So I'm comparing the difference between two. Number one is, as you can see, number one is Ford and the number two is what do you call Toyota. Here you have it. You have number two, the Toyota. So you have one car here and the other car here. So I'm comparing the two cars and I'm comparing their size. Toyota is small and Ford is big, so I have bigger than Toyota. I can also write the same thing in another way. I can write Toyota first and Ford later, and that can be like this. Toyota is smaller than Ford. So you can see I've written Toyota first this time and Ford at the end, but I told you here in my sentence Toyota is small. Because Toyota is small, I have to say Toyota is smaller than Ford. So it depends what noun comes first and what noun goes after, and what you are comparing between the two. If you are comparing the size, then you have to know which one is big and which one is small. In this case, Ford is big and Toyota is small. So that's why when I write Toyota first, I have to say smaller. When I write Ford first, I have to write bigger because I'm comparing with the second one. And you can see in the first sentence, I've written Ford first, that is number one, and Toyota is number two. So this is comparison between two things or two items, object. So this is how we write it. I'm going to show you the structure later. So what do we do in comparison? We compare two things together to show differences between them. We show the difference between the two items and we need adjectives with that. Okay. Next, how we form comparative adjectives. Very simple. I hope you will remember from your verb forms. The other day I talked about the verb forms when we were discussing present simple tense. These are not the verbs, these are what you call adjectives. Even in adjectives you have similar rules. So if you see, we have here 5 rules, and I just want you to look at them and try to understand what I'm talking about. So here, adjectives with one syllable. I'm sure you remember what one syllable is. One syllable means one sound. Yes or no? Syllable equal sound. And one vowel is the one that is always creating the sound. In a word, you have to look for the vowels. If you see a vowel, that means it is giving you sound. And if you have one syllable word, it means one sound is coming from that word. For example, if you call this word, say this word loud to yourself, I'm sure you will hear only one sound. Old is just one sound. And if you say this word here, big, so the sound is just one. Just like that, if you say this one, you will notice you still have one sound. Cheap. So even though you have 2 vowels here, the vowels are written together. So if you have 2 vowels written together, they give you only one sound. But if you have vowel first and then you have some consonants in the middle and then you have another vowel, so it gives you 2 sounds. Look, bigger, you have one, bigger, so you have 2 sounds here. So vowels written together can give you only one sound, but vowels separated by consonants will give you more than one sound. Okay, and if I say one syllable or two syllables, it means I'm saying one sound or two sounds. So one vowel is one sound, and two vowels are two sounds. Right? And if you look at this word big, you have only one vowel here. So how many sounds? Just one sound is coming out. Big, one sound. If you look at this one, I have a word mango. So if you see, I have A and O, two vowels, and they are separated by consonants in the middle, N and G. So that's why I have two sounds here. Two vowels means two sounds. I hope this is clear to you. So the first rule says if you have adjectives which have one syllable, okay, like these ones, then you add ER to it. You see ER, you add just ER. Look, ER, ER, and ER. So old becomes older, big becomes bigger, and cheap becomes cheaper. And after that, don't forget, then this is important. This is the one which is doing the comparison. This is the one which is showing the difference between how many. So then is important for you to write. Notice the spelling. This is not THEN. This is THAN. Then, all right. After this, you write the noun. Now, I want you to focus here. I have the word big, which is now with double G. Why I have double G here and then ER? The reason I have double G here is, how many letters you see here? 3 letters, right? B-I-G, 3 letters. If you have a word which has a combination like this, for example, have a consonant and then you have a vowel and then you have a consonant again. All right, doesn't matter, it's a 4-letter word or a 3-letter word. If you have the last 3 letter of the word like this, a consonant, a vowel, and consonant. Look here, B consonant, I vowel, and G consonant. All right, so you have a same structure as this one. Then the consonant, you have to repeat it. You have to write it one more time, and then you add ER to make it comparative. The big becomes bigger with double G. Okay, I will write one more for you. For example, hot. This is also an adjective. You have hot. So I told you, if you have a word that has a combination like this, 3-letter word or 4-letter word, doesn't matter. If you see the third, the last 3 letters are consonant, vowel, and consonant. Look, you have H, which is consonant, and you have O, which is a vowel, and you have T, which is a consonant. So consonant, vowel, consonant. You have to repeat the T and then add ER. Okay, so hot becomes hotter. Hot becomes hotter in comparison. I'm going to write one more for you, and it's not a 3-letter word, it's actually 4-letter word. Thin. So you have a word which is an adjective and it is thin. Now look at the last 3 letters. You have a consonant C, consonant, then you have a vowel I, and then a consonant N. So this one is actually a 4-letter word, but the last 3 letters are consonant, vowel, consonant. You have to repeat N and then add ER. So this becomes your comparative. So remember this, please. If you have a word which gives you one sound, but the last 3 letters of the sound, word is consonant, vowel, consonant, repeat the consonant and then add ER. I hope that is clear to you. If not, you can ask me questions and I will try to answer. Now, if you look at the second rule, we have done this in the verb forms. I'm sure you will be able to remember, but this one is an adjective. So if you have adjectives that has y at the end, we do the same thing. We remove y and add IER to make it comparative. So you have friendly, you have y here. Busy, you have y here. Easy, you have y here. So what you do, you drop y, right? And add I. After that, you add ER to all of these. So you can see friendly becomes friendlier then busy becomes busier then, easy becomes easier then. Don't forget then after the adjective. Then is needed to compare, okay? Rule number 3, adjectives with 2 or more syllables. I told you just a few minutes ago that syllable means sound. So if you have a word that has more than 2 sounds, that has 2 or more than 2 sounds, what you do, you add more before the adjective. So you see here, polite, you have 2 sounds here, polite. Beautiful, so you have 3 sounds here. And then you look at this one, important, 3 sounds. So this is actually more than 2 or 2 sounds. What you do is, before the adjective, you add more. So more, polite, then you don't need to add ER or IER to these words because you have already added more. When you add more, it is doing the comparison. It is telling you that something is different, something is same. More first, then adjective, then the word, then. More polite, then. More beautiful, then. More important, then. Why we have done this? Because these adjectives have 2 or more syllables. Means 2 or more sounds are coming out from these words. Polite, beautiful, important. So you have 3 or more than 2. That's why you are adding more before them. Rule number 4, irregular forms. Just like irregular verbs are there, irregular forms of adjectives are also. Some adjectives don't take ER and they don't even take more or less. Understand? So what you do is you have to memorize them. Means you have to read them and remember. So for example, the word good, it is better than. So you see good and better, they are not the same words, they are not similarly spelled, they are different. That's why we call them irregular, they're not the same. But this is the higher degree than this one. That's why you have to memorize them. Good becomes better and then. Bad, worse, then. Far, further, then. You have 2 further, one with A and one with U. Both have the same meaning, remember. Okay? Both have the same meaning. One is used in American and the other one is used in British English. But it's the same. They have the same meaning. Far is further than or further than. Now, just like this one, rule number 3, rule number 5 is same. The only thing which is different is more. That means you are talking about increased number of something. Less, it means you are talking about decreased number of something which doesn't have more. Okay, so you can say quiet is less quiet than. You can say less crowded than. Quiet, you have actually 1 sound or 2 sounds here, quiet, and then you have crowded. All right, so what you do is you add less, or you can add even more here. More is also correct. If I say more quiet than or more crowded than, or both of them will be correct, because I'm talking about 2 things or 2 objects. Because they have more than 2 sounds, I'm adding more or less. If you have any question regarding this review of rules, please ask me in the chat box. I will try to answer those questions. If not, then we can move on to the next slide. Yes, Bara says clear. Thank you, Bara. Anybody else who thinks they have a question, please write. Otherwise, just say okay, clear. Now we'll move. Okay, good. Hajur says good. You know, I have 17 of you in my class, but only 2 of you have written your responses. That's not right. Yes, Anfal, thank you. Clear is good. Anybody else? Hiba says clear. Good for me to know. Noha, clear. Very good. Happy to know. Zainab, Aisha, very good. Yes, Bushra, thank you. Good. Now I'm okay because, you know, if you don't write your responses, I have to keep thinking that you didn't understand. You have to understand because it's for you. So, very happy to know that you understood. Let's move to the next slide. And now is the time we have to know how we use comparative adjectives in a sentence. Here we are. Comparative are used. They are used in a sentence where 2 nouns are compared. How many nouns, how many objects, how many things? Always remember 2 nouns. It can be 2 objects because objects are actually nouns, obviously. Name of anything is noun. So you have 2 objects or 2 things. All right, have 2 things, 2 persons or 2 animals, all the same. So 2 person, 2 nouns, 2 objects, 2 things, doesn't matter. 2 is what is important. So when we show the difference between 2 or similarity between 2, we use comparative adjectives. And here we are. Let's see what happens. Now notice this. We write the noun or the subject first. After that, we need the verb, and the verb has to always be be verb. I hope you remember be verb. Can you write the be verb for me in present tense in the chat box for me? What are the be verbs in present simple tense? The be verbs used in present simple tense. Can you write? Hiba says is, are. Anybody else? How many they are and what are they? Can you write them, please? Thank you. Am is, are, and fall. Very good. Hiba says am is also there. Yes, Hiba. Am is, are. Anybody else? Am is and are. So the be verbs are necessary when you compare 2 things. So what you do is you write the noun first, then the verb, which is, am, or are. Okay, and after that you need to write this comparative adjective, and the comparative adjectives will be here. The comparative adjectives will be with er. Okay, with er. So whatever the adjective is, you have to write it with er. For example, if you write big, it should be bigger here. If the first one is small, smaller here, and that is how it goes. And what should I write after this? What do you think is important after this? After the comparative adjective? I have explained this in the previous slide. Yes, Anfal, thank you. Yes. Anyone else? So Anfal says, and Zainab, very good. Yes, Hajar, wonderful. Bushra too, correct. So what we do is we write the word then, because this is what is doing the comparison between the two. Adjective is showing what I'm comparing, and then is showing with what I'm comparing. Okay, so after this I need to write the noun, which is the object. Okay, so noun, then the verb be, then comparative adjective with er, or I forgot to write one more. It can also be IER. Remember, some words can be with Y. So if you have an adjective with Y, remove Y and add IER. It can also be with, I showed you in the previous slide, it can also be with more and then adjective, or less and then adjective. Okay, after this you have the adjective, and these adjectives will be 2 syllable or more than 2 syllables. Right, so you have, let's say, polite. Don't say politer, we say polite. And then you have what we call expensive, important. All right, so this is how we write it. Any question regarding how we write a comparative adjective in a sentence? You can write it in the chat box, or you can just say no, 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 and I'll understand. Good. Thank you. Let's move on from here. So here is a car, number 1 and number 2. I'm going to say number 1 is the old Beetle and the new one is the new Beetle. I want you to compare these two cars with the word big or small. Can you please compare these two cars in writing in the chat box using the word big or small? These adjectives, please. Old Beetle is okay. So Anfal says old Beetle is smaller than new Beetle. Can I see more responses from you? Anybody who has a different answer? So Hiba says old Beetle is bigger than new Beetle. Okay. So here I will show you what I have written, and I must tell you, yes, but the answer is smaller. Yes, I agree. Even if you write bigger, grammatically the sentence is correct. Meaningfully the sentence will be wrong, but it's fine. I needed you to write the sentence correctly, and you have written it correctly. So I will show you my answer. The old Beetle is smaller than the new Beetle. Okay, now you see old Beetle here, it's definitely small, and you can see the new Beetle, it's comparatively it's bigger. So that's why the old Beetle is smaller than the new Beetle. But I can also write it the other way, and that is, I can say the new Beetle is bigger than the old Beetle. If you see, when you compare the two, if you write this first, the old Beetle, which is small, right? So if the old Beetle is small and you write old Beetle first, then it should be written with ER here, okay? And if you write the new Beetle first, which is big, you see it's actually big. So because this is big, then the word big will be adding ER. Very good, Bushra. New Beetle is bigger than the old Beetle. Very good. Now you have to remember one thing, when you write the nouns, some nouns need to have the article the. I'm sure when you study articles with me one more time, we have done articles in level 2 before, but if you have forgotten, no worries. We will have practice on articles as well if the chapter comes. we need articles before nouns. All right, some nouns need articles. Why? Because we can see the beetle right here. You and I both know which beetle we are talking about, so that's why the is necessary before it. Okay, good. So this is well written and correctly written. Let's move on to new. You can see the noun, the subject, and then this is the be verb is, and then you have the comparative adjective, which is bigger and smaller. Then we have the word then, which is the most important word in comparative. And after this, we have objects, which are also the nouns. Remember, the nouns can always, it's not going to be always just one word. It can also be with more than one word. So this is the structure of how you write comparative adjectives in a sentence.